Let's get our heads into the conversation of your 3 food memories. What's the first one?
My first food memory, I think I was about 7, and I was living in North Balgala. That's where I grew up. And my mum and my brother and her friends, these were all street people. They weren't street people. I think the word I'm looking for is neighbourhood people. No, so we just our neighbourhood friends, mums and the kids. We all went down to the Manly wharf and got a ferry over to Circular Quay, and then a train down to Haymarket. So we all went to Chinatown. We had this fantastic day, but I can just remember, I don't remember the day very well. I remember we got to Haymarket, went to Chinatown, went into, I can still remember the restaurant on the corner of Dixon Street where the strip, the foot strip is, where there's no cars. And there was, all the big round tables. Well, there was a few of the round tables were in booths, but round booths. And really high leather seats. And we all got in, we could all fit. There was about 10 of us, 3 adults and the rest children. So we all sat around, and I couldn't believe there was a table on top of a table that was going around. We're like, oh my God, our local Chinese didn't have this. This is really fancy. There was lanterns everywhere. It was just over the top. And then these barbecue pork buns all arrived on the table. I just remember them arriving and looking at them like the little clouds of heaven that they were. Puff, yeah, they were and they were steaming. They're white and glutinous. They still are exactly the same as the first time I tasted and saw them. These beautiful, perfectly white, really white fluffs of clouds. I think it looks like cotton wool almost, split open at the top, and you could see all the insides of the red-brown contents, which was, pork, Peking barbecue pork. Oh, my God. And I was like, oh, what is this? And I already loved my grandmother's dumplings when they were just dumplings, that you dip in gravy. She was Polish French. So I was thinking, oh, well, I'm going to try this because I loved food, would eat anything. Picked it up, just bit into the white bit, and it was sweet and it was light and fluffy and like bread, but 100 times better. And then I finally got into the barbecue pork part. It's like Augustus Gloop in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory at the Chocolate River. I was just drinking, they're just gulping it until I fell in and went up the chocolate chute. Remember when Augustus finally finds when in the beginning of the movie they show him finding his ticket, not finding the ticket, but talking to the press about it, and he's eating
the chocolate.
No, this is when he's back in Bavaria still, and his mum's sitting next to him, and all the reporters are going, "How do you feel about finding the 4th golden ticket?" And he goes, "Hungry." I've never related to a character more.
So back to the table, and all the children, the street people sitting around the table.
Yes, street people. Yep.
So what else was ordered? Do you remember?
I have no idea.
Just the fluffy pork buns.
I don't remember anything else of the day. I don't remember anything but the pork buns, and wanting more. I remember eating mine, everyone had one, and wanting another one and being told no, and really like an addict kind of, I want another one. I want another one. Please give me another one.
Well, I want to move on to your second food memory, which is steeped in nostalgia.
My grandmother, who was born in France to Polish parents, she cooked constantly, my grandmother. She made pierogi and sledge, that's the marinated fish. The pierogi is the dumplings, the Polish dumplings. But don't get me wrong, all of these things were my absolute favourite. She did the pumpkin beetroot soups and all the things that everyone would turn their noses up except for us. She would make this chicken noodle soup, and it's called rosu in Polish. And it was just a simple peasant soup. It was done, and I don't know why it tasted so good, but I do know that she made the noodles herself. She would roll out the dough or whatever pasta, and she would cut the egg noodles with a knife herself, and then she would pick them up and put them in the boiling water, and then she'd put them into the soup. Or she'd put them in another bowl on the table, and then she'd never let us serve ourselves. She'd put it all on the table, and then she'd serve it to us.
Because that was part of her.
Oh.
That was no, I'm going to do this for you. And chicken soup is very healing and nurturing.
It can heal you from a cold, from a flu, from any virus. Bacteria. It won't heal you, obviously, but it will help you get on your way.
It kind of strengthens your bone. It lines your bones, it lines your organs, and you feel like, oh, I've just got a little bit of something to kind of scaffold me up.
She would make a bone broth from chickens. And it was funny because before she died, when she was really getting quite old, I lived below her in Manly, and I would beg her to teach me how to make pierogi and to make all these Polish dishes. And she wouldn't. She would tell me, and if I pushed, she'd tell me, and she'd tell me something wrong. So one day I had to sit her down and say to her, "You're going to die, and these recipes are going to die with you." So
did you use your face? Did you
yeah,
use all those
absolutely.
expressions?
And I held her hand. We have such similar hands. And I said to her, I understand. I will never make these instead of you. No one's coming to my chicken soup. That we will still always eat your chicken soup. But when you're gone, I need to know how to carry this on. And that changed everything. And that's when she said, it's not sugar, it's salt.
Why do you think... Yvie, I want to go to school now. I want to go to school now with your third memory.
Yes. And I have spoken about this before when I was in the jungle in I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. And it was very emotional. It is a very emotional memory for me because it involves my mother, who has since departed this earth. But my mother wasn't a good cook. She wasn't a good cook. My dad isn't a good cook. Like, that's why I think my grandmother was such a hit in our household. But
your parents, just for a second there, your parents fostered or not took on people, children.
Yep.
Right. So how did they fit? How did they nurture them apart from giving them a roof over their heads if they weren't good cooks?
They weren't good cooks, but they could cook. Chops and 3 veg. And because it was always boys that we took in bulk. Yeah. So, lots of, when you go to the local RSL and, we would win meat trays all the time. You'd see a meat tray. That was a normal purchase for us. Huge meat. Well, we were the Shedletskis. The
Shedletskis?
Yeah, my father's name is Shedletsky.
Yvie Shedletsky?
Yvette Shedletsky.
And,
so my mum and dad couldn't cook great, but they could do sausages, mince, pork chops, steaks, all that kind of thing, and lots of steamed veggies, lots and lots of, peas cooked in the microwave in water, that kind of thing. Like, it was always a very bland dinner, but it was always very nutritious, and every single dinner involved 2 litres of the green death, we called it, the cooler cordial.
How many people would be, how many children would there be at the table at its height?
Well, around when I was about 14 was when we started bringing in. So my brother and my father played baseball, and my brother at school. So it was always boys, and boys who just were having a rough time at home. They would just be invited over, and you stay for as long as you want. And they would stay. They would end up living with us. My mother, she would make me lunches, and
would she make lunches for all the other children as well?
Yep.
Or just you?
Yep. No, everyone.
Jesus,
but this was
the
more
finance, the funds. Well,
see, that's the thing. You had to buy everything in bulk, and
Jules. Should go to Jules.
Oh my God. No, we used to get like the bread man would come, and I remember on a Tuesday, I think on a Tuesday, maybe another day, but definitely every Tuesday I'd come home from school and open up the electricity box and grab the 3 loaves of bread that was delivered. And that would be gone like that. And the rest of the time we just kind of have to purchase bread, but there would always be a delivery of bread. So we ate a lot of white bread. So my mother would make me sandwiches for school, and my favorite fresh sandwiches just to eat when she'd make them and I'd put them straight in my mouth would be ham, tomato and cheese on white bread. Beautiful. So she would make them for me for school, put them in the lunchbox. By the time lunch rolled around, you'd open up your lunchbox, unwrap the cling wrap, and the tomato had bled all through. And so I'd just end up with Play-Doh sandwiches, basically. And everyone used to give me a hard time. Like, ew, what are you eating? That is so gross. And I would just eat them because my mother had made them and her hands had been on them. And I was in love with my mother. Like, till the day she died, I was enamored with my mother, wanted to be her, loved everything about her. Started smoking because of her, did everything, I still, like, people see things on Facebook and they go, that know my mother, and they'll go, oh my God, you are just the spitting image.